So, you think you're untouchable?
Word life.
Heel to the Face podcast on Sports Radio, Rap Pack Radio, iTunes, YouTube, everywhere you need to go. We're joined as always with Brandon the Icebreaker Clements. You can find him on Twitter at Icebreaker21, and myself, Jared, just Jared Wicks on Twitter, and the program at Heel to the Face. Twitter is a very important aspect of the show, and it's a very important aspect of this segment. It is now time for our social media Smackdown, and we start things off with our Twitter question of the week. In our main program, we were talking about CM Punk, and we're back at it, going to talk some more CM Punk. So now that his UFC days are, quote-unquote, officially done, it is time to talk about his comments to the world of professional wrestling. Last week, they asked if he saw Ronda Rousey. They asked, what his were, what he thought about the WWE currently, and he said he doesn't watch it, including that of Ronda Rousey. He said he's seen clips here and there, but he wanted to make it perfectly clear that WWE door was closed. He's not interested. He doesn't want to wrestle anymore. Pro wrestling is behind him. But let's just say, for some reason, he needs to make some money or he needs to do something, even though I feel that he's somebody who doesn't need to do that. I feel he does still have to make some money. I'm not saying he's not. He's poor, but he's definitely not John Cena money. I don't. No, does he really have enough to live comfortably? And what I mean comfortably, I mean he has like $1 million house in Chicago. Does he have enough to keep up the $1 million house without ever doing anything? And he's after like 40,
unless he saved his money, which he may have. I think he still has to do these his appearances. Like he goes to like different like book signing type things. Maybe he has to keep writing books.
I don't know what else he has his hands in. I don't see him on the face of a lot of stuff, doing a lot of stuff. But so I feel like a return to WWE is imminent.
What's AJ Lee doing? Is she still doing the comic books?
I mean, maybe, but she's definitely not doing it like wrestling thing or something.
So yeah, she's out of the wrestling game completely.
She's making a ton of money. She's some sort of celebrity. Again, this isn't Nikki Bella and John Cena's household. This isn't Daniel Bryan and Bria Bella's household. Even like the Bellas, you see, you're very visible that they're doing other things. Fashion line. AJ Lee, I'm not very familiar with what she's doing.
I think she writes books or comic books or something. I'm not.
So let's say so CM Punk comes back to WWE. Now, what he said about the WWE and professional wrestling, in your opinion. Is he unwelcome, or do you say, let bygones be bygones? He's CM Punk, for gosh sake. Let him back.
Bring him back. I'm 100% on board. Get him back in the squared circle. That's where he shouldn't have left.
Do you think if he came back, he'd be a face or a heel right away? If his music hit, do you think when he came out, boos or cheers?
Oh, he's getting cheers. No doubt about it.
Even after he said all the negative about wrestling, I hate wrestling, I don't like wrestling. I mean, this wasn't just saying this. He said this in the past.
He's CM
about how
freaking
phony
Punk,
it is, and
he's CM freaking Punk. He still gets cheers, and he hasn't been in a ring in how many years? They still you still get the occasional CM Punk chant, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So guess what? If he comes back, he's going to get I will tell you right now, there will not be every seat will be empty because they're all going to be standing up cheering for CM Punk.
69% of our votes were for yes, I want Punk, but 31% said no, he is unwelcome. We don't want CM Punk.
To our Twitterverse out there, that 27%. What the hell are you talking about?
31%.
Or 31%. Sorry. I was
going to say, do you know that? He didn't want to offend. He knows the 4 of that percent. He didn't want to offend them personally.
Yeah, I'm not one of those 4%. I'm 100% on board. But yes, I was looking at the numbers a little skewed over here. But yes, the majority of the people, you're right. That small little minority, what the hell are you talking about? You're telling me you wouldn't want a guy who is as entertaining as CM Punk? Yes, I'm 100% done with the MMA stuff. I don't think he should have gone there in the first place. But as a sports entertainer between the ropes, in the squared circle, that's his home. That's where he should be.
I feel though, I will say this much: forget what he said about pro wrestling, and I'm not normally one to say this. I definitely don't say this about Ronda Rousey, but his recent appearance in the UFC, and it's hard to say, but it's. I know that WWE is not like it used to be, where people can't be made to look weak and stuff like that, and they got to look strong, and they got to look like they, back in the 70s, a wrestler has to look and act like he can really fight you. Obviously, there was the guy, who slapped John Stossel right in the face when he came up and said, what about this being phony? And he attacked him, and there was a big thing on 2020 in the 80s about him doing that. Schultz was his name. He did that and got sued by ABC, but that's what they had to do. You had to look strong. If somebody said wrestling's fake, Hulk Hogan had to put him in a neck hold, you know what I mean, the show, and be like, "This look fake to you?" This, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that kind of thing. You had to have that macho mentality.
Choke, yeah.
WWE doesn't have that anymore. Ronda Rousey, coming off of losses, comes into WWE just fine. But CM Punk, I feel these losses are a little different because
I don't think it makes him look any different because
he looked out of it. I mean, he did. I guess because it made him look like he was just so like the opposite of like, hey, I lost. Like Brock Lesnar losing a fight is like, hey, I lost a fight, but I'm a man. CM Punk losing a fight looks like.
Yeah, but
I mean, the name says it all. I mean, he looked like a punk in there. He looked like some skater kid that went up to like a Green Beret Marine and started being like, yo, dude, you're a loser, and got his ass kicked.
Here's the difference, though. In his last fight, did he get knocked out and look? I mean, yes, he looked bad. Did he get knocked the hell out like nobody's business?
No, he got slapped. Worse. The guy was like slapping him like, come on, get up.
Ronda Rousey, and I love Ronda. Ronda's one of my favorites.
I would rather see him Punk get knocked out, like he did versus Mickey Gall. He got knocked out. He got back up. He's like, hey, I was out of my element, but you know, I'm going to get back in the gym. I'm going to do it again. This one, like, this guy was like sitting on him like he was a ball of yarn and Jackson was a cat. Like, just get up. Come on, you loser. Get up.
Here's my thing. It doesn't translate to me from MMA to WWE because everybody knows. I love, every once in a while I still get people say, oh, you watch that stuff? Wrestling's fake. No, like we didn't know this the entire time, you idiot. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, for me, we all know it's scripted. So even if he comes back, he can look like a badass. I feel you got to have some sort of, that's what they sell Brock Lesnar on, that he's a legit badass. Yeah, Ronda's legit too. But here's like I said before, anybody can get knocked out or anybody can get beat, and that's the thing about the fight game. All it takes is one lucky shot. You can get your ass handed to you. Say in a championship fight, you're in round 5. You're definitely lost all 4 rounds, but somehow you get up and you're there and you get them. You catch them with a kick or an uppercut or something. You knock them out. You just won the fight. Mm-hmm. So that's the difference between the fight game than anything else. You could be getting your ass handed to you the entire time, and then you come out of it and you knock somebody out. Look at this. Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas. I'm sure you're familiar with that. Mike Tyson was beating the crap out of Buster Douglas. Buster hung around. Mm-hmm. Gets to the next round. Comes out of his corner and just lights up Tyson like nobody's, because Tyson always finished him early in the first round. Buster Douglas took all those punches, knew Tyson was kind of gassed because Tyson never fights longer in the first round. We all saw that for a long time. What did Buster do? He won. He no one expected. That was one of the, that probably goes down as the biggest upset to me in boxing history.
Definitely, I think so.
That's, and to me, to bring it back to WWE, you could be the biggest schmuck, but guess what? You get a puncher's chance in the fight game. In WWE, you could come back like shit. They could polish you right off and make you smell like roses. I'm just saying.
I would say he would have a little he'd have to get back in it without, I don't want to see him like Ronda Rousey, for example, going right to the top. I would want to see him have to kind of eat the fact that he was gone for 5 years. It's crazy to believe it's been 5 years, but it's been about 5 years he's been gone. So he'd have to eat the fact that he's been gone, and they'd have to bring him back, and he'd kind of have to earn his way back to CM Punk status.
You're not saying NXT, are you?
No, absolutely not. But I just don't want to see. Don't put him in don't have him come back.
Against Braun Strowman right away.
Yeah, and then beat Braun Strowman. That kind of nonsense.
Maybe work him up.
Yeah, work him up just a little bit. And the character perspective, maybe even bring him to WWE where he suffers some losses to kind of do that, like he comes back. Don't bring him in and then have him start to win. Kind of feed off the fact that he sucked in UFC and come back and kind of show that, no, you suck. You got to. So then it creates him being good in WWE, because then he comes back as a loser and has to kind of earn his way back. You don't want him to come back and
I don't mind
hey,
that.
Look, I've been gone for 5 years and I lost in UFC all the time, but come back and get a win. Come back and kind of have that, that kind of that stuff he said about WWE. Bring that to when he comes back to WWE. That's how you're going to start the feuds. That's bring him back as a quasi heel. Bring him back as somebody whom you're going to bring that up. You're going to say, I thought you hated wrestling. You know what I mean? You're nothing but a punk, that kind of thing. Make him feel unwanted in WWE. Give him that drive. Make him earn the fact. Make him not just come back to WWE as a plan B. Make him earn coming back to WWE. Make it like, instead of, hey, I guess I'll go to WWE because I got nothing coming. make it look like we don't want you. The only way you're going to come back is if you really want to. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I get it.
Don't let him just like come back in the door. Like I guess they'll come back. Like no,
Universal Champion first night. You know,
like don't even let him come back unless he really wants to. If he calls up Vince McMahon today or this week and says I want to come back to WWE, what I think WWE should do, they should hang up the phone. They should play hard to get. They say we heard what you said about wrestling. Make him break down your door to come back.
Yeah, don't just. I like that actually. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, I think Vince,
and maybe in a month or two, then say, like in a relationship, you know what I mean? Like you hang up the phone, they call back. I'm sorry. You hang up. You make them, finally like keep calling, and then after like the 100th time, you're like, point. You call, you call up and say, all right, I'm listening.
I got you.
Better be good.
What's up?
Yeah.
I don't mind that, actually. That's actually not a bad point.
Because it feels like if he comes back to WWE, it's going to be like WWE crawling to him and him being like, I told you I don't want to come, but I guess I will. I feel after his mentality in UFC of sucking and what he said about WWE, I feel like you should leave him out to dry for a little bit. And that could actually lead to our second segment of the week, time for our tweets of the week. Leaving him out to dry a little bit, making him earn his way back, making him kind of, like in the military, you know what I mean? When you do something, or in any aspect of life, let's say you snitch on a coworker, you know what I mean, and they make your life a living hell, or you do something in the sports world where you're a bad teammate and you find yourself having to be out of good graces and you kind of got to earn your way back, like a fraternity or any of this stuff. Corey Graves and CM Punk, they went back and forth this week. Brandon has his tweets of the week.
Yeah, it's literally tweets of the week. I won't go through them all. We'll just kind of summarize. So pretty much, Corey Graves and CM Punk were really good friends at a point. Corey Graves was on the road, and this is how close those boys were. CM Punk held one of Corey Graves' children before Corey Graves did. That shows you the kind of relationship that they've had.
And people forget CM Punk wasn't Brock Lesnar. CM Punk wasn't some guy using WWE to get to the next step. CM Punk was a hardcore, hardened, if I'm in Ring of Honor in New Japan Wrestling and I never make it to WWE, I will be happy. CM Punk was Daniel Bryan at one time. CM Punk loved wrestling more than anyone.
Yeah, he came from wrestling in the VFWs and the small little halls to getting to the top. And here's my. This
wasn't Candice Michelle using it to get as advance her modeling career.
Here's the thing. I'm just kind of looking through the tweets. I'm going back on Twitter. The last tweet I'm thinking is in reference to CM Punk is I'll fight him. Then he says, don't forget, y'all. I already knew how to fight before I got to TV. And then, he goes in. He's like, hey, CM Punk, call me tomorrow. I still love you. Like, it's like he's like poking the bear a little bit. Like, CM Punk, it's funny because CM Punk hasn't responded back to any of it. Not that I'm aware of. I think CM Punk's kind of just that, he's kind of ignored it.
CM Punk's kind of that guy, though. I wouldn't see him kind of doing
He's not going to feed into it. Like, it's just funny because I'm reading these tweets.
CM Punk is the most, I kind of like him for this, but he's the biggest, cockiest, douchiest guy probably in the whole world.
And that's why, what's funny? That's why I was kind of like, when I read this tweet, this is the one that really started it. Corey Graves tweeted out the other day, maybe abandoning everybody who stood by your side even when you weren't supposed to, only have you turn your back on us wasn't the right move after all. No anger, only sadness. And then Corey Graves kind of pokes the bear at the fans too. He's like, "Oh, seems the fans are disappointed. Maybe you guys should know that dude held my first son before I did because I was on tour and I trusted him. I had dinner with him the week after he quit." I'm just saying. It goes on and on and on. Like, to me, that's why I said tweets of the week. I couldn't just put it all. I couldn't just put one. It was a series of tweets, kind of like publicly kind of bashing his old boy. Like, yo.
Well, not bashing him as much. He's just pretty much saying
calling him out.
He's disappointed that CM Punk was bashing.
He's calling him out.
Was bashing him. It's like when you quit a company and you're like, I not just hate that company, but I hate everyone that works there. And you're like, dude,
I was your boy.
We were in the trenches together. I'm glad you got out.
He called him out. And you know what? He called out an old friend. And you know what? Maybe WWE could use this as like a storyline down the line.
Problem is Corey Graves is not getting back in the ring.
Yeah, but they could use him in some sort of segment.
Corey Graves had some of the similar issues that Daniel Bryan had. So can he get cleared? Can we get Corey Graves back?
I think Corey's are more. That's
what you thought, but then here's Daniel Bryan.
I think Corey Graves. But the thing with concussions, like Daniel Bryan was more. I believe it was more neck, wasn't it? More of a neck issue. I think. But Corey Graves, I mean, I know there's guys in different sports that have retired because of concussions. I mean, me growing up as a Cowboys fan, the guy named Troy Aikman, I'm sure you're familiar with.
Never heard of him.
Won a few Super Bowl rings in the 90s, but his career ended early because he kept getting hit in the head, concussions. Concussions are a dangerous thing, and Corey Graves, I mean, it only takes one, it could take one more, and he's done. He's done. He has a family.
Yeah, so it's hard. It'd be cooler if he was having kind of a feud with an active wrestler right now.
It would be cool. I mean, here's the thing. The difference between Daniel Bryan, I mean, I'm not trying to downplay Daniel Bryan's, issues. I mean, there's a lot of issues there. It's concussions are something you don't play with. It's like a guy who hung him up because he tore his ACL too many times. He could probably do it if he wanted to. Concussions, there's no way in hell you'll ever see Corey Graves back in the ring. I would bet the farm, so to speak, that Corey Graves will never wrestle again. That, to me, in this day and age with concussions the way they are, I think it's too risky for WWE.
All right. Well, I'm going to get to my tweet of the week. And I found one. I saw this tweet. I've seen it from a few people, but I'm going to call out Classic 90s Wrestling for sending out this tweet. King of the Ring is a staple in June for us wrestling fans before the year 2017. King of the Ring was one of the big 4 pay-per-views. And there's a classic picture. There's been a few, but I think this one's it's got every classic thing you'd want in a picture in one. So you have Shawn Michaels coming out at the 95 King of the Ring. The old WWE TV jumpsuits the TV guys used to wear. I remember like Stone Cold Steve Austin dressed up in one of those jumpsuits one time to sneak into the cage and attack Vince McMahon inside steel cage with... But in the background is what is coming up most importantly. A young Jeff and Matt Hardy were I don't know what you call them, doorkeepers, I think I put in the tweet. They used to have, in some of the old sets, they had a King of the Ring where you would have to open the door. I want to say you had this for a few different kinds of sets, not just King of the Ring. But there was times where the entranceway had like a solid door, and they would have people like open the door. I know Madison Square Garden, I think, used to have a lot of their pay-per-views used to have that smaller entranceway, and they might sometimes have somebody physically open the door to let the wrestler out. So King of the Ring, they had this kind of like you're coming out of the castle to come to the ring, and Jeff and Matt Hardy were in the background opening the door, and they show him opening the door for Shawn Michaels before his match.
How cool is that? How
old are they? Holy smokes. Well, 95 King of the Ring.
23 years ago. So would that, Jeff... So what are they? I know Matt's in his 40s.
So if they were 20 then, that would make him 43.
Yeah. Is Jeff really 40?
I think they've got to be now.
Man.
Remember, they didn't even really break into much until about a good full 4 years after this. So from 95 to 99. I mean, yes, they were here and there, but they had a good full 4 years where they had...
I'm thinking Jeff is 18 there. Because I don't think he's 40 just yet, is he? I'll have to look it up. But they've been around a long time. They've been around 25 years.
Just remember all the times they were around before they ever became anything. They didn't come... they were like nobody jobbers for years in WWF. They were like on Monday Night Raw, like getting attacked by other good tag teams throughout the late 90s before they... So it's not like they came in the WWE and they're like, we were in the Indies, now we're in WWE. They were in WWE. They were in the back like every night. Just nobodies for 4 years before they finally got something good.
Yeah, they weren't smash hits right out of the gate.
They were just the Hardy Boys would like look like the Rockers. They had like the colorful get up and stuff. And you can see here in the photo, they got like brush cuts. It is not the Matt and Jeff Hardy that we are that we
love today.
Yeah. No.
It's funny. It's great. They've come from this to being one of the greatest tag teams of all time. I love how there's always that beginning. It's just cool to see where they're at now all these years later. It's absolutely awesome.